Have you ever watched a construction worker wake up at 4 a.m., sweat through 12-hour shifts in brutal heat, only to struggle to pay rent, while across town someone makes millions by posting videos of themselves dancing? You've been told your whole life that hard work pays off, that suffering builds character, that the most exhausted person in the room deserves the most reward. But look around you, really look. The teachers molding young minds can barely afford groceries. The nurses saving lives work double shifts just to survive. The janitors keeping your world clean remain invisible, underpaid, forgotten. Meanwhile, cryptocurrency traders make fortunes from their bedrooms. Social media influencers buy mansions by talking to cameras. Consultants charge thousands for advice they Googled 5 minutes earlier. Something is terribly wrong with this picture. And today, I'm going to use Friedrich Nietzsche's most dangerous philosophy to expose the lie that's been controlling your entire life. The lie that hard work equals moral worth. The lie that suffering makes you virtuous. The lie that keeps you accepting crumbs while others feast at the table you helped build. You see, we've been conditioned from birth to believe in what I call the great deception. Your parents told you to work hard and you'll succeed. School taught you that effort equals reward. Society programmed you to equate physical struggle with spiritual nobility. You've been living inside a moral system designed to keep you exactly where you are, grateful for whatever scraps fall from above. But what if I told you this entire belief system was invented by those who benefit from your labor? What if the very idea that hard work is virtuous was created to make you feel noble about being exploited? What if your moral goodness was actually the chain keeping you imprisoned? This is where Friedrich Nietzsche enters our story, the philosopher who dared to question everything you've been taught to hold sacred. Nietzsche wasn't just some academic theorist. He was a man who saw through the lies that comfort the masses and keep the powerful in control. He understood something revolutionary. Values aren't discovered, they're created, and whoever creates the values controls the game. Nietzsche identified two fundamental types of morality that shape our world. The first he called master morality, the mindset of those who create their own values based on their strength, their excellence, their will to power. Masters don't ask permission. They don't seek approval. They look at the world and decide what has value based on what serves their growth, their vision, their dominance. But then there's slave morality, and this is where it gets uncomfortable. Slave morality is the moral system created by those who lack power, designed to make their powerlessness seem virtuous. Can't compete with the masters? Then declare competition evil. Can't create wealth? Then claim money corrupts the soul. Can't command respect? Then preach that humility is holy. And here's the trap you've fallen into without realizing it. Every time you tell yourself that your hard work makes you morally superior to those lazy rich people, you're speaking the language of slave morality. Every time you comfort yourself with, "at least I'm honest," while struggling financially, you're accepting a value system that keeps you exactly where those in power want you. Think about it. Who benefits when you believe that suffering equals virtue? Who profits when you think your exhaustion makes you noble? Who gains when you're too proud of your moral labor to demand what you're actually worth? The answer should terrify you. The very people who taught you these values are the ones exploiting them. This brings us to one of Nietzsche's most dangerous insights: resentment. It's not just resentment, it's something deeper. It's the psychological poison that occurs when you're powerless to change your situation. So instead, you create a moral framework that makes your powerlessness seem noble. You can't beat them, so you convince yourself you're better than them. But here's what Nietzsche understood, that most people refuse to face. Your moral superiority is just a psychological painkiller. It doesn't change your bank account. It doesn't improve your living conditions. It doesn't give you control over your life. It just makes you feel better about having no control at all. The construction worker tells himself he's more honest than the CEO. The teacher convinces herself she's serving a higher purpose than the entrepreneur. The nurse believes his compassion makes him superior to the surgeon who earns 10 times more. But at the end of the day, who has the power to shape their reality? Who can say no without consequences? Who controls their own time, their own energy, their own destiny? This is the brutal truth Nietzsche forces us to confront. While you've been playing the moral superiority game, others have been playing the power game. And power, not virtue, determines who lives comfortably and who struggles. Power decides who works for whom. Power creates the rules that you've been taught to follow without question. But understanding this changes everything, because once you see the game being played, you can choose to play it differently. Nietzsche spoke of the will to power, the fundamental drive that pushes all life toward growth, expansion, dominance. Not the crude domination of bullies, but the sophisticated power of those who create their own reality instead of accepting someone else's. The will to power means refusing to accept that your value is determined by how much you suffer. It means recognizing that your worth isn't measured by your moral purity, but by your ability to create and control value in the world. It means understanding that the game isn't about being the most virtuous player. It's about being the one who writes the rules. Look at the people who truly prosper in this world. Do they work harder than you? Maybe, maybe not. But they've understood something you haven't. They don't accept other people's definitions of what work should look like, what success means, or what they deserve. They create their own value systems and then build their lives around those systems. The entrepreneur doesn't ask if society thinks their work is moral. They ask if it creates value that people willingly pay for. The investor doesn't worry about whether their profit seems fair to others. They understand that wealth flows to those who understand wealth, not to those who judge it. The artist doesn't apologize for charging premium prices. They know their unique vision has value precisely because it's unique. This is the uncomfortable truth that slave morality tries to hide from you. Success isn't about working the hardest. It's about working in ways that create the most value. And value in the real world is determined by markets, not by moral committees. But here's where most people get stuck. They think embracing the will to power means becoming heartless, selfish, cruel. They think rejecting slave morality means abandoning all compassion, all ethics, all human decency. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of what Nietzsche was teaching. The will to power isn't about stepping on others. It's about refusing to be stepped on. It's not about becoming evil. It's about refusing to let others define good and evil for you. It's not about abandoning morality. It's about creating your own moral framework based on your own strength and vision, not on the resentments of those who lack both. When you stop accepting that your hard work automatically makes you virtuous, you start asking different questions. Instead of, am I working hard enough? You ask, am I creating enough value? Instead of, why don't they appreciate my sacrifice? You ask, how can I make my contribution impossible to ignore? Instead of, this isn't fair, you ask, how can I change the rules of the game? This shift in thinking changes everything. Suddenly, you're not a victim of an unfair system. You're a player in a complex game, and like any game, once you understand the rules, you can learn to win. The rules aren't moral or immoral, they simply are. And those who prosper are those who master the rules instead of complaining about them. But this transformation requires something most people aren't willing to give up: the comfort of moral superiority. You have to abandon the idea that your struggle makes you special. You have to release the notion that your poverty proves your purity. You have to let go of the belief that being underpaid makes you more virtuous than those who demand what they're worth. This is the price of freedom. This is what Nietzsche meant when he spoke of becoming who you really are. Not the person society taught you to be, not the moral ideal you've been programmed to chase, but the powerful, creative, self-determining individual you were born to become. So I ask you now, looking directly into your eyes, how long will you continue accepting a value system that keeps you powerless? How long will you comfort yourself with moral superiority while others shape the world around you? How long will you work hard for someone else's dream while calling it virtue? The choice is yours. You can continue believing that your exhaustion equals excellence, that your struggle proves your worth, that your moral labor will eventually be rewarded by a universe that cares about justice. Or you can wake up to the reality Nietzsche saw so clearly. The world belongs to those bold enough to claim it, wise enough to create their own values, and strong enough to live by them. When you stop being available for moral labor, when you stop accepting other people's definitions of what you should do and what you're worth, when you start creating value on your own terms, everything changes. The game changes, the rules change, and most importantly, you change from someone who works within the system to someone who shapes the system. Are you ready for that kind of power? Are you ready to abandon the comfortable lie for the uncomfortable truth? Are you ready to stop being morally superior and start being actually free? The choice, as always, is yours, but choose wisely, because once you see the game being played, you can never unsee it. And once you understand your own power to change the rules, you can never again pretend to be just another player following someone else's script.